Welcome to My Home HQ podcast with Ray Fletcher. Leading the way in buying and selling homes, knowing the current housing market, updating your home without an extensive remodel, or how to stage your home for the perfect sale and more. Portland, Oregon real estate agent Ray Fletcher will bring his 20-plus years experience of real estate, home ownership, and selling homes to you in his bi-monthly podcast. This podcast will be your home headquarters for strategies to achieve success in your real estate investments. Now your host of the podcast, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the My Home HQ podcast with Ray Fletcher, our resident home and real estate expert from Portland, Oregon. My brother Ray Fletcher is here today to chat with me about all things real estate, and I'm your host, Terry Fletcher. So welcome back, Ray.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So I've been reading through some of your things that you put out there, your newsletters for your clients and potential clients, and I like that you're everywhere. I see you on LinkedIn, and I see you through some of the emails that I come through, and I love reading these because they have such interesting information. And one of the headlines that caught my eye was improving your home's energy efficiency. So the new, and I'm air quoting, smart home situation. Yep. So let's talk about that technology and making homes more energy efficient. And the first thing I wanted to mention to our listeners is obviously there are plenty of smart home technologies. It can make your home more sustainable. It obviously reduces carbon footprint, everything that's actually going on in the world, and and lower the cost it takes to operate. But my question is, and this is the first one, and then we'll get into some of those what smart homes mean. But sure. Can old homes be turned into smart homes, or are they kind of out of luck?
No, they can, for sure. You have to dig a little deeper. It's not just electronics. You have to do some more structural things like replacing windows, potentially re-insulating, updating some of the plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and then of course, hot water as well. A lot of these older homes maybe had an oil tank. They got rid of those, and then they switched to electric. And then now gas is plumbed in, so maybe you get that added. So the older the home, the farther back you have to start to make it more energy efficient. And then once you get that handled, then you can add some of the smarter features.
Now, are solar panels considered part of a smart home?
Solar panels are more of an efficiency thing than a smart thing. They are ran off of apps and the internet and everything like that, but that's an efficiency thing for sure.
Okay, because I know we got a tax break when we remodeled our house at the end of 2021, and we added the solar panels, and it's amazing how inexpensive our utility bill is. But I guess the county also and the state borrows from the energy we've saved.
Well, they take it from you. They don't borrow it.
Oh, they said they were just borrowing it, so it's not on loan?
No, because when it's dark out, you're paying for electricity still. I mean, how are they? They're not taking it. They're taking it and selling it back to you. So keep that in mind. I personally don't have solar. I want solar, but I'm still waiting for the next stage, which, I mean, that's what everybody says. They're waiting for the next camera to come out on the iPhone before they upgrade.
Right.
I like solar. I want solar, but I just cannot get over this hump where I'm giving them electricity and they're selling it back, even though I'm getting it at right. And I would do solar if I had the battery backup, but then it's not cost effective at all because those batteries are really expensive.
They're really expensive. Yeah.
But solar's great.
And where we live, it's such a hot inland climate in Southern California. So, and we just put in a pool, as you know, so it made a lot of sense for us to do it. But one thing I was really surprised is when Summer bought her new build and their roof did not come with solar in Arizona.
Yeah, that was very surprising to me too, which kind of makes you realize that, again, the cost efficiency for a builder isn't there yet.
Right. Oh,
so
right. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
That's the factor. And if I lived in Oregon, when it's light out, the solar is working. I mean, again, it's not, you don't just have to have sun, but obviously the intensity of the sun makes a bigger difference. So she should, if I lived in Arizona, there wouldn't even be a question. I would have solar because my air conditioning would be on all the time.
Well, the one thing they were told is that their roofs all have a 10-year warranty, and they lose the warranty if they put in solar.
I have heard that.
That's crazy.
That's interesting. And that shouldn't be because, well, it should be. I guess there's kind of a twofold on that when I think about it. We're counting on the solar companies' installers to do a good job. And if they don't, you'll get a roof leak. So, I
Oh,
mean, they're drilling into your roof to attach those. And if they don't do the right sealants and they do something wrong. So if I'm a roofer and I get a leak, well, now I have to go after who is it my fault because of the manufacturing and my installers, or is it this adjustment you made to your home? It's kind of like if you buy a new car and you replace the exhaust because you want high performance exhaust and then the car blows up. Well,
that's a problem.
yeah, there's a problem. So there's a lot of warranties are voided when you alter the original state that they warranted.
The real structure, yeah, the real structure. Well, it's funny that you mentioned can your roof sustain? I don't think people realize that because this was a 1968 home that we brought up to, the
Yeah.
2021 standards, and you
Yep.
saw it. It was gutted, and we, totally changed it completely from the first. Even the footprint was changed. But one of the things that we noticed is that, or I guess we had to do, is before we got our solar panels, they're like, "Oh, you need a new roof first." So
Yeah.
it could hold it. We didn't even realize that. We're like, but our roof is only about, 15 years old and it's still good. They're like, no, your roof is fine without the solar panels. But with it, because there's, I guess, some weight to it, you definitely have to have that
Yeah.
upgraded.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So going back to the smart home, let's start with thermostats. I've noticed that
Yep.
this doesn't make sense to me, so maybe you can walk me through this.
Okay.
I read something that said smart thermostats automate your home's temperature, customizing it based on your schedule, your habits, your needs, and there's different kinds. And some people are saving up to, they said 8% annually on energy bills. But what isn't it the same thing? We already set our thermostats at 65 or whatever it is. What's the difference between smart thermostat and a regular one?
Right. So let's say you set your thermostat to run at 70 degrees all day long. Well, you run to the store, the smart home thermostat is attached to your phone and it knows where you're at. So instead of just
Oh.
staying on when you're gone, it just turns off because it knows you're not there. You don't need it on. And so it
Oh.
has an away eco feature. You go on vacation, you forget to readjust for vacation mode. It automatically goes into vacation mode because you're not there. Also, what I'm doing is through Portland General Electric, they have an electric program where it controls my thermostat. Now I can manually override, and it wants me to have a certain amount of electricity during these certain times. And if I do that, I get like cash back. Um, Unfortunately, the last time they did it, it was really hot out. So they're like, don't touch it. We want it at 74 degrees. And I just can't. It's too hot. And then to
It's
get
too
the
hot.
house,
Yeah.
yeah, to get the house back to the normal temperature would cost that much more. So I overrode it. And then also, they want my car to be charged only between 9 p.m. Actually, yeah, 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. So that's the window that they want me to charge my car also.
Wow.
So I get another break there.
Wow. I forgot you had a hybrid. So that's
No,
that's
fully
crazy.
electric, not hybrid.
Fully electric. Oh, okay. Do you have a Tesla or
Tesla,
do you have Tesla?
Tesla.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about light bulbs. I know you
Yeah.
can program smart LED light bulbs and even set a schedule to minimize the time they're in use. Basically, kind of what you were saying when you leave the house or not. But one of the apps now, or there's several apps now, don't they even allow you to remotely, turn them on and off?
Yeah, you can turn them on and off. You can actually change the color. If
Ooh.
they're super, super fancy, you can have them strobe to music. There's all kinds of things.
Oh,
Light
geez.
bulbs,
Are you serious?
light strips. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that can be done.
Oh,
And
man.
with light bulbs, once again, it can kind of follow you around. So if you leave the house, then they'll turn on and then periodically in the room. Another factor could just be you could just install one of those automatic lights, like you walk into a walk-in closet, the light automatically comes on, you walk out, you don't forget to turn it off, well, it's just going to automatically turn off.
So it's a cool
And
thing to have when you have teenagers that don't turn off lights when you go
for
to.
sure, or they don't turn the fan off in the bathroom all night long, and you're just wondering why.
You're like, don't you hear that? I know. How funny.
Yep.
The only problem with the automatic turn when you walk in is for those of us that sleepwalk to the restroom at night.
Yeah.
And then you have a light that just smacks you in the face. Night lights are
Yeah.
better.
That would do it. Yes.
But I would think that this would be a really good thing for people who maybe travel a lot because they say, dark homes tend to be the ones that get robbed. And so this can kind of say that there's people home. Have you heard that, or is that something you
Yeah.
agree
Yeah,
with?
for sure. And the control factor is much better than just having a timer. Because if you just have the old school timer on your, let's say, your exterior lights, and then your power flickers, well, the timer traditionally goes back to zero and it's not set again. And
Oh,
so with a smart home and a smart app and all these features, you're going to get a notification as soon as your power goes out, even for a second, because it's going to say not reading the door anymore. And then you'll click on the Ring doorbell or Nest doorbell app, and you'll realize that your power's out because your internet's out. And then when it comes back on, everything should automatically boot back up and then let you know it's going again. One of the greatest features is the smart doorbell because it's a camera, and with the way we have with Amazon and all these packages dropped off, anybody who doesn't have one, I mean, you're going to get targeted. You're going to get targeted even if you do have one. Some people do, anyways. But at least you can see somebody walking up, looking at your stuff, and potentially running. I have 3 cameras at my house.
well, what's funny about that? We have one, and then Summer, your niece, my daughter, that she has one. And actually, this is funny. She has one that. What did she say happened? So I finally talked her into house cleaners. Okay, listeners, don't get on me about this, but my daughter needs a housekeeper, trust me. Especially when we were getting ready to go out to stay with them for a weekend. But she said that they forgot the code, and there was also an extra key under the mat that she left for them. And so they were texting her saying, "Hey, we can't get in." She actually was able to talk to them through her doorbell
Yep.
and let her know what was going on, but just because of the smart features and the camera, and she could see that she was there. That was crazy to me.
Yeah, you can talk to them. I'm telling them you'll be right back. I get wine delivered, and when you're not there, it's very frustrating. You're like, I'll be back in 20 minutes. Come
Yeah,
back. And then most
totally.
UPS, FedEx drivers are very happy because they don't want to carry this thing around.
Like, I'll just hang
Um,
out.
yeah, and then also when you have those features, you can actually they make one that hooks up to your door lock. So she could have actually let them in the house by unlocking her door. So
Oh,
there's
oh,
definitely a lot of smart things. Cars now, you pull up to your driveway, they're smart. The garage door automatically opens because you've got a smart garage door opener. You don't even have to push a button, and it closes when you back out when you hit 20 feet or something. I know that's what my car does.
see, we're still on the button one, but yeah, those are
Right.
awesome. But here's something we do have, which I find this super cool. We have smart sprinklers. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we upgraded exterior of the house with the sprinkler system. Say that 3 times fast. And they integrate with the live weather we're having, and they also are customized for the shape of our yard, and it also reduces water consumption. But our gardener, who's really old school, he had to be trained on it. He didn't understand it. And so did I actually, but they're very cool just when you see when they're coming on and when they aren't. The capacity for smart, um, it's funny they call it smart features, but seriously, the smart features is just crazy to me, but the sprinklers was great.
Yeah, that seems like it would be a huge benefit, especially if it's hooked up to the weather. I mean, they probably even have a sensor that goes into the ground that's measuring the moisture content.
It does. Is that
I know
crazy?
out there when you water, it goes straight down.
I
So,
know, it's so
um,
great.
yeah, no, that's a huge feature.
Now, what have you seen as far as plugs and power strips and small appliance, features? I see people on their iPad or on their phone all the time, and most of these are, when we say smart features, it means it's connected to your phone, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's an app on your phone, or you have basically an iPad looking device that sits on the kitchen table or the living room table that runs the home. Adjust the lights. You can do blinds. You can do your television, your stereo throughout the whole house. Um, Ventilation through the house. I mean, the list is actually. I mean, it just goes on and on and on anymore on what can be considered smart. It can get overwhelming as well because as soon as if you do get an outage with your internet, nothing works. You have to now manually go over to your HVAC system and turn the knob. But most of us have strong internet. We don't get outages like we used to.
Well,
But the house,
you
yeah.
brought up a good point then. Are some of the people who live in rural areas, are they not even able to get remote or smart houses?
Well, they can, because now we have, thanks to Elon, regardless of people's opinion of him, he
Yeah,
has satellite internet that is, from what I've been told, absolutely amazing.
that's what I've heard
And
too.
so once you're hooked, again, all you have to have is power in the internet. If you don't have the internet, then it just doesn't, they just don't work, for the most part. And then the new homes, because of they're smart, they're already putting in your wireless extenders throughout the home. So your coverage is everywhere. They're hardwired extenders. And then in an older home, if you're to do that, you would have to add that. If you're in a extremely rural area with a big barn and everything, you'd have to put not just an extender, but a whole nother point-to-point hotspot in that second building, so it can be ran as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
it keeps going, but there's a solution for pretty much everything anymore.
So now if somebody's ready to go green,
Yeah.
they're either buying into or they've been thinking about it, everything that's, you're hearing on the news now about the efficiency, trying to actually improve their carbon footprint. Is that something that when they reach out to you, they say, I want to go green, I want a smart home, that's kind of where your focus is? Are you finding that smart homes, and this is probably, it's funny how we're talking about this, but a stupid question on a smart home. Are they always more expensive than a traditional home?
Well, they probably used to be. Not
Oh,
probably. They
okay.
used to be, because it was like a green certification thing. And well, I mean, yes, they are still, but everything is now pretty much green certified. So it's kind of now just put into the cost. You can't buy a new home because all the codes have shifted for that. So everything's green certified.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, with that said, we buy renewable energy through our electricity. So I have all these restrictions on when I can charge and when we're supposed to run the heating and the air conditioning. Well, the air conditioning, because the heating is gas. Also, we buy renewable energy from either a windmill or a falls, and it does cost us a little bit more, but I was convinced that I'm going to do my part regardless, and here we are. So yeah, it's now a thing. And so when I am looking at homes, if somebody is adamant about being green, well, we look at the whole picture. It's like, okay, well, what makes this home green? Are they doing rain collection to go one step further? Um, are they doing any type of built-in composting? We already know the windows, the siding, the insulation is going to be over the top improved. So we're not worried there. Are they already going to, it's the new construction going to have a solar roof, not just solar panels, because that's becoming a thing as well. So there's a bunch of different factors that you can look for. 100% green home probably isn't there yet, but I mean, it's coming. I mean, they're trying to get rid of gas cars here in the next 10 years. So
I see that too. Yeah. Now, when
yeah,
somebody's house hunting and they say, oh my gosh, I want this house, but it's an older home. Let's say it was built in the
yeah.
70s or 80s. And they say, but I want it to be a smart home. Do you then factor in, okay, well, here's what you're looking at as far as upgrades and cost?
Yes. And I think on a few podcasts ago, we did some energy stuff before. And what we now have is what's called an energy score.
Oh,
So you get somebody over there that's energy certified, and they basically take a measurement and tell you how energy efficient your house is. Now, if you have a home that was built in 1910, out of 100, the score is going to be like 20. And then they make recommendations: change the furnace, redo all the windows, different type of insulation. Most of these older homes don't even have any um, um, insulation in the attic. It's just blown in. It's not even in the roof and things like that. So there's a bunch of different factors, and then we can figure out what makes the most sense. And if this home is even, if the cost of making it go green, energy efficient, and then smart on the flip side, you got to make sure you have even good wiring for the smart features, because back in the day, when you plug your cord in, there's three, right? You have the two and then the ground.
right.
Well, you can find a house that only has two, no ground. So when you're
Wow.
dealing with that, that's a whole nother thing that needs to be brought into the conversation.
Well, the more that I hear you talk about it, the more I'm thinking, so let's say that you're buying it for a flip. So we have investors that are listening to us. And so let's say you're buying a house for a flip. Really, all it needs is some cosmetic updates, carpet, paint, flooring, whatever, maybe some windows, and some landscape to be profitable for a flip.
Yeah.
But should a flipper keep in mind things about a smart house, or because that is so personalized, like paint color, they really should stay away from that and let if the purchaser wants to get that, let them do it. Because now I'm seeing, I mean, when we talk about, like you and I said, the smart features can go on forever, but I like the sprinklers, I like the light bulbs. I don't need, my blinds to be, like the clapper,
Right.
they go up and down just by thinking about it. So,
Right.
would you do that for a flip, or would you not do that?
I would do the basics. I would
Okay.
definitely do the doorbell because I think that's a feature, that's a safety feature, a security feature that just makes people feel good.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would also do the thermostat. Those two items would just be a given, and they're not that expensive. And
Okay.
if you're looking at a whole new system, some of those thermostats, that's just what I mean, it's like there's no difference in cost. So
Okay.
that's what
Maybe
I
the
would do.
maybe the garage door too, or something like that. So, okay.
Yeah, potentially.
Potentially. Okay. So that there's a place to start to at least say this has smart home features if you're going to
Yes,
flip.
yeah, and in our listing agreements, and when you're checking all the boxes of what this home has, there is now a box for smart home. And
Oh.
so if you have one item, you get to check a whole box. So
Oh, okay.
it opens
Wow.
up. Yeah. So if somebody's like, I only want this, which is kind of rare because most people can do a lot of things themselves on older homes, but it is now a new feature and then green certified is another box. So yeah, there's things that you want to do so you can make your home even more attractive. You're selling the home is the key, not just the person to the home.
Oh, okay. So that's just so it's just so interesting to me how technology is not just advanced, in everything we do, but now as far as how your home functions as well. But the only thing that makes me nervous is if Chat GPT gets gets in
Yeah.
there. Oh my gosh, that's another conversation for another day. But as you know, I'm in healthcare and it's been a little scary on that. So I would just not want somebody that the AI telling me something mean. They're kind of getting
Yeah.
hostile. So, but other than that, this looks like such a great way to, at least if you're looking for a way to start going green or sustainability, or really changing that carbon footprint, to at least consider thermostats, light bulbs, sprinklers, plugs and power strips, things like that.
Yep.
um, One of the things just on the power strips, I've noticed that there's a lot of power hogging items, if there's no other way to put
Yeah.
it. And
Yep.
so I've noticed that can really help, because there's things we leave on all the time, like a refrigerator. So,
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have these TVs in every room now that are all LCD 4K.
oh, right.
Um, and of course, they're probably more, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know. I'm assuming they're more efficient than the older TVs, but we have so many of them. And when you walk by them, you feel the heat they're putting out. So
Right.
they do take some power. And I mean, I know in my living room right now, I'm in my office, there's a TV on right now because I just paused it. So
Okay.
that kind of stuff is something that you got to keep in mind. And if you're trying to be more efficient, I mean, it's like that commercial. You're trying to be your parents. You're shutting off lights everywhere you go.
I love that commercial. There's so many
Uh-huh.
things you're like, I'm my parent. Yes. I know,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, I love this information, and this was a great episode. I just think our listeners can really picture themselves hopefully in a new home, or even flipping a home, and just trying to figure out where to start when it comes to energy saving, cost saving, and hopefully starting that smart home footprint. So thank you, Ray,
Yep.
for that discussion today.
No problem. Thank you.
So that's it for us today this week on the My Home HQ podcast. Join us next time when we bring you more topics on real estate, home buying, selling, investing, and more. Drop us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Podcast, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make it a great rest of your month, and thank you for listening to the My Home HQ podcast with Ray Fletcher.
Thank you for listening to My Home HQ podcast with Ray Fletcher. Drop us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website and blog at www.rayfletcher.biz or contact Ray directly at realtorrayf@gmail.com to also subscribe to his weekly newsletter.